Hey hustlers, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that on May 10th, I finished my first cutting season. I did a 4-month cut that actually turned into a 6-month cut, and I wanted to tell you some of the things that I learned. Because I've always been, or for a long time, I was a bigger girl. I was fat, which is a descriptive word, not a shaming or guilt word. It's simply a descriptor. I was fat. And I started off doing a body recomp when I got into bodybuilding. And then I did a 9-month bulk, which I bulked way too much and I looked like baby Hulk, and I also felt strong like baby Hulk, so that was confusing but also very reassuring and empowering. And then I started cutting. And it was such a mesmerizing experience. Because I learned the following. I learned that I had always been craving the flat feeling. Let me explain. You may have heard this, particularly as a woman, that to lose weight, like carbs are all evil, you have to cut them. And I've learned something. While yes, carbs can make you gain weight, as can consuming too much fat, or too much protein, or too much of anything, quite honestly. What actually happens with carbs is that they actually inflate you. They make you plump. They make you fluffy. Now let me explain. This isn't something I really understood until I got to the very end of my cut. I really deflated everywhere. And although I lost some muscle, the deflateness, the lean feeling, the dry feeling came from the lack of carbs. I didn't realize that when you eat carbs, carbs make you fluff up. When you think about it, the cells inside your bodies, they're like little balloons, and carbs go into those balloons, making them bigger and fluffy. But when you delete the carbs or decrease them, the balloons just shrink. Now, carbs do not equal fat, so I'm not talking about like actual body fat percentage, but I just talk about the big difference between being carb deprived and then the next day having a surplus of carbs. Well, yes, your tummy may be a bit bloated. You'll see all around your body after you do a really long cut the very, very quick effect. Now, I remember even things like my socks being loose, my leggings being loose. It was quite odd. I realized that my whole life I'd been feeling the flat feeling, the empty feeling. It's like you're eating and you're nourishing your body, but you feel like it all just goes into a void. Now, don't get me wrong, there were definitely moments in my cut where I quite felt like I was starving. Which, by the way, do a lot of mindfulness practice and get yourself in the right mindset before you take any of this advice, because I'm not a nutritionist or a professional bodybuilder nor a doctor, but I have done all of this through someone who is coached and licensed and very, very well aware, very educated and informed. So I would ask you to do the same if you're so considering. But I thought about bodybuilders, how before a show they will dehydrate, but before stepping on stage, they will load themselves up with carbs. But the carbs don't just make them fat, it plumps up their muscle. And that's what gives you that kind of very lean, it's not even lean, it's like, it's flat. Like, I felt flatness, my boobs were flat, my ass got flat like a pancake. But there was muscle there. Like when I would flex it, you could see the gluteus maximus, but the carb deprivation just made me feel deflated all around. So carbs are not your enemy. Now, the second thing that I really learned that was quite a shocker was that when I ended my cut, I thought that all of a sudden I was just going to re-enjoy food very quickly. And that was anything but the case. My first few meals were delightful, but afterwards I had heartburn, I felt very heavy and sick, and also like my body was rejecting anything tasty, delicious that I would have wanted to eat because I deprived myself for so long. My body had a hard time accepting saturated fats and things that weren't so clean and very whole foods, so to say. So that was a challenge, which brings me to maintenance season. I did a summer of maintenance. I retaught my body to enjoy food. I kept it mostly I'm mostly clean, but allowed myself to enjoy life once again, to enjoy my social life, to eat out, to have some things at home. And I did not track, honestly, a whole lot. I did intuitive eating. And now I'm back to bulking. And my family is asking me why I'm regaining the weight, which we'll talk about that in another video because they don't understand bodybuilding like you and I do. And that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. I'm okay. And there we go. And yes, I am now bulking and I'm very much enjoying it. I'm having heavy carbs before I go to the gym. I'm having an intermittent or intra-carb. I don't think it's intermittent. Maybe it is. Anyway, I'm having carb while I work out, and I'm having a nice load of carbs after working out, and I have to say, I'm very happy. Now, while things don't fit as slim and nice as they did at the prime of my cut, I do have to say, I feel happier, I feel fuller, my boobs are back, my butt is no longer a flat pancake, it has once again become a Belgium fluffy waffle, and I feel strong again, and the muscles are muscling, and the chest is chesting. You know what I mean. It's hard not to strike a pose, you know, when you're wearing a feminine cut dress, but then it's like you just want to and like you just want to get it all in there. It's so hard. So yes, those are some things that I learned in my cutting, and I love carbs. We should all love carbs. Carbs are delicious. Keep on hustling.